What is good, YouTube? Welcome back to another video, and today's going to be something a little bit different. I'm going to be covering the 3 things that I wish I knew when starting training and starting bodybuilding. Right guys, so I apologise for the lack of setup right now because it isn't the best setup, but if I keep doing these videos I might actually get a bit of a better setup going, because I do plan on making more of these in-depth videos talking about things that I know and I've learned along the way, things that I can give you in terms of knowledge and my experiences in bodybuilding and in fitness. So without further ado, let's get started. So my number one thing on the list that I wish I knew from the get-go, but being a beginner, you're not really going to, in the first 1 to 2 years, you're not really going to be focused too much on all the aspects of training. But if anyone knows me, I am a massive advocate of form and perfect form. I do allow some clients, I do allow myself to have those cheat reps and have those reps at the end of sets to really push beyond failure. But with that being said, I believe form is just absolutely vital in building a really good physique and building a physique. Because a lot of people, I shouldn't say this, but a lot of people want to build a physique as quick as possible. Over time, as you've been training, you learn to love the journey, and you learn to realize that it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's not going to happen overnight. But a lot of people want to get there quicker, and even me, I want to get there as fast as I can. It's not like I want to wait 100 years till I get my dream physique. But with that being said, you have to have in mind that it's going to take you, at least 5, 10, 15 years until you get to what you are imagining in your head your body to actually look like. So you have to be in it for the long run, and you have to really understand that this isn't a quick fix or an overnight thing. But however, that being said, if you are executing perfect form, you're practicing perfect form, your form's getting better over time, you are going to build that physique a lot quicker than the next guy who's going in, he's swinging the weights, he's not doing it right. All that time under tension adds up over the course of months to a year. So if you think about it, most guys are going in and doing very, very little time under tension. So if I'm doing a set, sometimes I'm doing 3-second negatives, and I've just kind of embedded this process in my brain to where if I'm not feeling the muscle working, I'm not feeling it engaging, then for me it's a wasted set. Unless it's a heavy set right at the end and it's an all-out failure, say 6 reps, and it's mainly a strength set, then I'll allow that to happen, because I do believe those kind of sets have their time and place. But overall, in the grand scheme of things, you want to really be focusing on form. You want to be focusing on time under tension. Is a massive technique that you want to incorporate, because it's allowing you to build that mind-muscle connection due to the lactic acid build-up, due to be able to really feel the muscle. It's allowing you to slow things down and really say, if you're doing triceps and your elbows are fixated and you're really going through the motions slow and steady and really feeling the tricep working, over time that's gonna build your triceps a lot more than going in, doubling the weight and just swinging and using a lot of momentum. And I know we've heard this time and time again, but I believe it's such a key thing in training and in bodybuilding that people neglect or even overlook, because you hear people asking, "Oh, what supplements you taking, bro?" Or asking about sleep, asking about diet, recovery, which are all key components to this whole matrix, this whole triangle. But they seem to think that everybody trains the exact same. Like every guy goes in and does a bicep curl exactly how I do it, or they've done drop sets, they've done rest pauses, everyone's training very different. So that's why the next guy might not look like the next guy, because over the course of 2, 5, 6, 10 years, the way his training's progressed, the time under tension that he's put the muscle under, the stress that he's put the muscle under, has equated to more muscle growth. Obviously, that's coupled with the perfect diet, with supplements, with with sleep and recovery. But I do believe training gets really overlooked. So that's one thing on my list that I believe you should really take note of from the get-go, because if you guys can get that down in the first 1 to 2, 3 years, you're going to really be leaps and bounds ahead of people who are, I'm not saying it's about getting ahead of people, but you're going to be ahead of yourself if yourself was to do really poor form for those years, or really work on time under tension, really work on focusing on overload techniques, why you do them, why you're executing overload techniques, and what they're for. So you really want to do your research on things like that. And I will do more videos on overload techniques, on taking the muscle to failure, and on high volume things and things I've done to build a set of juicy delts like this. So, on to the next one. It is diet, shockingly, it is diet, but it is like tracking calories and learning calories, and really doing your research on calories, how many calories are in a carb, and it's very simple information, but if you become a master at calories and tracking your calories, understanding calories, it's going to set you up for better gaining phases where you want to gain muscle mass, and it's going to set you up for better cutting phases too, because you're going to understand food sizes, portions, you're going to understand ways to create low calorie dense meals when on a cut, and you're going to understand ways to create higher calorie meals that are less dense so you can actually eat more of it, because all these things matter in the long run. And if you can learn these things from the get-go, and you can learn these things quicker than I did, then you're going to be in a better position if this is something you really want to take serious and want to do in the long run. Say you want to step on stage, you might be able to step on stage 3 years earlier than I did, because you've learned this information and you've applied it from the start of your training. You've not just, oh, I'm just going to eat whatever because I want to get huge, which is great, and you do need to eat a lot of food. But I find clients and guys in the gym, they're telling me they're eating a lot of food, and this is due to lack of knowledge of how much calories is in certain foods. So this is why I say this is something I wish that I knew when I first started, because I was doing the same thing. You're at work, you end up eating 3 meals, you end up eating a snack. You feel like you've had a lot of food because you're not tracking it. Maybe you've had a lot of fats, so it's slowing down the digestion and kind of tricking your brain into thinking that you're really full, but you've not really had adequate amount of carbs, or in those 3 meals you might have only hit about 2,400 calories, and if your surplus calories needs to be at say 2,700, even more, you're a hard gainer, then you're nowhere near your calorie intake, and you're just kind of maintaining all the time, and you're not really getting the progress that you want to see. So if you start to track your calories, not to say you have to be so meticulous, like especially on gaining phases, like you don't have to weigh out a tablespoon of peanut butter and be like, it's 15 grams, bang on. Stuff like that is for when you are 2 weeks out of a show and you really need to dial it in. So if you learn calories, how to mitigate, like what to do with calories, and what's in certain foods from an early standpoint, you're going to actually enable yourself to. To be fair, I do right now advocate tracking calories all the time, if you can do it, and if because it allows you, one, to have that lenience. You can eat foods that you enjoy. You don't have to really restrict yourself. And once you get better and better over time, you understand food. Like I say, you understand food sizes, you understand portion sizes, and you can kind of like, you don't have to be as analytical with it. So I do believe you should track calories from the get-go, and especially on a bulk too, and even a cut, but on a bulk, if you're just starting out and just eating whatever you want, you could be eating 150 grams of fats, and not from really good sources, and then be having average amounts of protein and kind of average amounts of carbs. But it is down to calories in versus calories out. So you could eat a pizza that's 1,700 calories. You could have a protein shake that day, and you could still be under your calories, and you think you're gaining weight. I know that's like a very rare scenario. You're not going to eat a full pizza and a protein shake every day, just those two things. But it puts it into perspective on how not understanding foods and calories and understanding what's in them can really set you up for failure in the long run, and can really, deter you from good progress over the years. Whereas if you knew your calorie intake, you knew what was in them, you would be making slow, steady progress that you can kind of taper up as you go. Because that's what we want to be doing. We don't want to utilize those tools too quick and bump our calories up to 1,000 above maintenance, because then the body's going to eventually adjust. You are going to gain some water and fat, and then you're not really going to end up going anywhere because you don't understand where your calories should be, and you've not really executed the gaining phase correctly. So that's something I wish I knew, because I did do a dirty bulk and it did pay off for the first 2 years, because I'm a hard gainer. I was doing high volume workouts and I grew a lot of muscle, but I equated so much fat that I had to eventually learn calories and how to cut, and then lose all of that body fat, which in turn I lost a ton of muscle. And it just wasn't the most optimal way of doing things as a bodybuilder with 7-8 plus years of experience now of what I know. So, it's just giving you guys the knowledge that I wish I had from the get-go. But you have to experience things and you have to trial things yourself to really learn what works for you. And, you do have to, some things I'm not going to be able to tell you everything, because I do believe you have to do it for yourself. You have to feel it for yourself. You have to experience it. And that leads me into my final thing that I wish I knew when first starting bodybuilding. And that is that everybody's body is completely different. So what works for the next guy might not potentially work for me. For example, when I first started out, my friend who trained with me was, he had a big chest, he was training chest all the time. And I ended up, we was doing bench quite a lot from at the start. He really enjoyed flat bench. But for me, for my levers, for how wide my chest is, I couldn't really get my scapula back to really drive with the chest and really feel the chest working. So I wish that I kind of, from the start, if I had have incorporated more machines, incorporated more pre-exhaust techniques, looked into chest, how to really feel a chest when you're a tall guy. If I'd have done research like that, I would have realised that maybe his structure is very suited for bench press. So his chest might be a bit narrower, his arms aren't as long, he can really feel it. Maybe I'm more suited to a incline hammer strength, or I'm more suited to, a flat press, or a flat Smith machine where I can just really feel my pecs working and I don't have to think about, the weight as much. But not to say a lot of compound movements are great overall mass builders, but certain exercises are just not for some people, and certain exercises are. And that goes with certain foods too. So you really have to find out what works for you. You have to trial things, you have to experience things and give it a go. And you have to really, if you're serious about this and you want to get a good physique, and you want to do really well in the sport, you do have to do your research, and you do have to just really be a bit critical about things, because you can't just expect to get really good results when you're not even researching what you're doing or understanding what you're even doing. You're just going in, doing some curls, doing a couple of side raises, eating the Mackies. Oh, I've got a bit of chicken in this meal for protein, don't know how much, it's probably like 35 grams, standard. So you have to really know what you're doing, you have to really look into things. And they're my three top things that I wish I'd have took into account a little bit more. As simple as they are, a lot of people neglect them, and a lot of people just go in week after week after week. They don't understand calories, they don't understand time and attention, the form's horrendous, and that's why you see a lot of people year after year not changing. So hopefully this shedded some light on those three things, and hopefully you guys can take something away from this video that can help you with your training. And I will be back with more videos like this. So I do appreciate all the support, and if you can drop a like, a comment, and you can subscribe to the channel, I'd be very grateful. And I will catch you guys in the next video.